prestigious JC Bose Fellowship in 2015, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award in 2010, DAE SRC Outstanding Investigator Award 2010, Swarna Jayanti Fellowship in 2005, BM Birla Science Prize in 2004, and so on. The list is very, very long, which is a reflection of the excellent quality of scientific work done by Professor Verma. So I request Professor Verma to kindly start his plenary lecture.
Good afternoon, Professor Agrawal. First of all, let me thank you for this very kind invitation to be part of this conference and to present funding opportunities that are offered by Science and Engineering Research Board, which is an autonomous organization in DST. So let me share my screen. Please confirm if you are able to see the screen.
Yeah, we are able to see the screen.
All right. So as I told you that I'm going to talk to you today about new and equitable R&D funding opportunities at a Science and Engineering Research Board, which is an organization in the Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. Just to tell you a bit about Science and Engineering Research Board, we are a statutory body which was constituted under the Department of Science and Technology through an act of parliament in 2008. So we are guided in terms of funding, in terms of our reach, with the help of this act, which is called as the SERB Act, and that was in 2008. And in 2011, we made our first transaction as SERB, and since then we have been we are known as one of the most premier and nimble funding agency in Indian R&D ecosystem, where we can boast of a very versatile management system for R&D funding. Its evaluation, assessment, monitoring, and continuous, sort of looking at what is latest in science and engineering, and we take pride in coming up with newer schemes that could be used to support R&D activities of our colleagues in various universities, institutions, and research laboratories. We also SERB prides itself in having the most modern science management practices. We have everything online, including the upload and decision-making processes which occur online. And you'll be very happy and also surprised to know that our reach is spectacular. We reach almost 100,000 investigators through our portal, and about 100,000 PIs are registered with SERB, and they use our programs, our schemes whenever they are announced, and they try to seek money through their fine ideas and find research projects. So one of the key properties that has been ascribed, or key decision making that has been ascribed to us, is that we have to create synergy between academic institutions, R&D laboratory, and industry, and that we achieve, or we try to achieve, with the help of multiple programs, with the help of awards, fellowship, travel, and conference support. So all that you would require to make your research successful, make your research come to light, and also to make a signature at the national as well as global stage, that is funded by SERB. And we'd like to tell you a bit about, what are the research schemes and portfolios. Some of you know a lot about it, but for some of you who are listening to SERB or hearing about it for the first time, we practically work under four broad verticals, which are shown here. The first vertical is research grants, where we offer a number of schemes which are included, such as core research grant, where we have up to 14 to 15 program advisory committees in various disciplines, in various subject areas. And our decision-making process is guided by the domain experts who form the committees, who form the program advisory committees for core research grant. Somewhat similar, we also have advisory committees for startup grant, and for a newer program that has come up in recent times, that is SERB Supra. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about it, because it was launched last year, and since then we are trying to popularize it amongst our research and development community. We also have a vertical on fellowships and awards, where we give away the highly coveted coveted JC Bose Fellowship for our very or highly esteemed researchers. We also have Ramanujan Fellowship, where we give out Ramanujan Fellowships to our brilliant young scientists who are working in the laboratories abroad and who wish to return to India with a fellowship and start working or start making their early career in academic institutions or research laboratories. We also offer SERB Vajra Fellowship for persons of Indian origin who are working abroad, and they can come to India in various institutions and they can get up to 35,000 US dollars for their stay in India, for mentoring, for striking collaboration, or for even mentoring students as co-supervisor through SERB Vajra Fellowship. And I'm very happy to tell you that, at various forums, SERB Vajra Fellowship has been appreciated quite a bit. And many colleagues and many institutions use SERB Vajra Fellowship to invite experts in their area. And we are able to compensate for their time with the fellowship with many other, small terms and conditions, which includes return visits by the Indian host, the students of Indian hosts that are going to be supported under Vajra Fellowship as well. We also have an award that is called as SERB Star Award, which is Science and Technology Award for Research, where we, give away these star awards for our brilliant performers who have done exceedingly well in SERB projects, who have gotten excellent grading in their projects, and they apply again to us to get unrestricted sum of money that could be used for their research and development purposes. We also have outreach programs, especially where we empower our weaker communities, where we empower our women scientists. I'm going to tell you a bit more about on women scientists and the new program that we have launched very recently. The other one is SERB Tare, which is actually an associateship for researchers who are teaching or who are working in state universities and colleges where research infrastructure is not that well developed. So when a research infrastructure is not that well developed and they want to execute their ideas, what opportunities that they have, that question is answered by SERB Tare, where an individual from state universities or college can apply for a project under the mentorship of individuals or scientists or engineers who are working in institutions which has better infrastructure, so they can use the money that is awarded to these Tare researchers, and you can go for up to 90 days, say for example period of summer or 1 month of winter break. You can go and do research in these laboratories, and your host also gets money when you apply for Tare fellowship. It's an excellent fellowship that empowers our colleagues at state universities and colleges. We also support seminars and symposia where we give a limited support in organization of such meetings so that the outreach of your seminar symposia is high and you can reach to as many people as possible with the help of SERB funding. And finally, we have an industry-oriented program, and a new one that I'm going to talk to you about is SERB Tetra, which stands for Tech Translation Award. And I'm going to tell you about it because we are about to launch this program in 10 to 15 days time. And the next program is SERB Fire, which is Fund for Industrial Research Engagement. Here, what we do is that we are going to work with multinationals or industries of very high repute to address questions that particularly relate to the questions that have industrial relevance. And we also have Imprint that is run along with Ministry of Human Resources Development. So Imprint is handled jointly by SERB and MHRD, where MHRD gives money to SERB, and we put our own money, and essentially we take this program forward with the help of the joint stakeholders. Looking at a few number of submissions, just to give you a volume of work that we achieve at SERB. In last financial year, the number of submissions were close to 35,000, which resulted in new projects and fellowships to the tune of 2,500. And we were able to generate quite a number of sanctions. 11,000 sanctions were generated altogether, which includes new projects, fellowships, seminars, symposia, Vajra, and a whole lot of other activities that are undertaken at SERB. So 11,000 sanctions. I will not go through these numbers, but these numbers basically reflect the kind of work we do at SERB, and the support has been such that a lot of investigators have benefited. And as I had mentioned, we reach 100,000 investigators. Our idea is to crowdsource disruptive, sort of projects, ideas, so that they can be supported. And finally, everything that you do, or when you engage with SERB, we take pride in having the most efficient e-management system for projects and finances. So this gives you a bird's eye view of what actually is achieved in SERB, the various programs, and I invite you to visit our website to see which program suits you the best and which program can you use to further your research ideas, further your research concepts, and make breakthrough which will be of far-reaching influence. Telling you about new programs that have come at SERB, I would like to start with this particular program, which is called as SERB Supra. And Supra stands for Scientific and Useful Profound Research Advancement. And I'm very happy to tell you that when it was conceptualized by us, it was picked up by the PMO as part of their 100 days of science agenda in 2019, last year, when the new government sworn in. And we were very, very privileged to have one of our program being picked up for its innovative potential, innovative capacity by the PMO to further the science and technology research in India. So if you were to look at Supra, how do you define Supra? So the Supra projects are supposed to go beyond normal projects, means in terms of the quality, in terms of hypothesis that one is trying to propose in Supra project. It should challenge the existing knowledge. It should push the boundaries of our knowledge and inquiry, so that the concept presented in Supra projects are quite innovative. They may contain unproven hypotheses, but the bottom line is that when you are having such a project of high degree of uncertainty, with your research capabilities, you should have the conviction to produce results that would have lasting impact across the boundaries of discipline. So it is not going to be limited to physics, chemistry, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or these specific silos that are there for our studies, for example. But when you execute a SERB Supra project, your results, your outcomes are going to have a profound impact on the knowledge, and also it would push the boundaries of disciplines and bring out something which not only the nation can be proud of, but you can make a mark at the global level. So how one would measure such type of Supra projects? And of course, more details are given on our website. You are welcome to go through our website, look at the terms and conditions of SERB Supra projects. But what I have bulleted here is that you have to look at quantum of research advances. Means when you look at what kind of research advances could be made by my project submission, that has to be absolutely clear, because the domain experts, the experts who are going to make a decision on your projects would look at the quantum of research advances, that once this project is given the Supra status or Supra funding, what would be the outcome, how much would be the outcome, and would it lead to disruptive and transformative ideas of very high impact. So you are looking at not the run-of-the-mill projects, not run-of-the-mill ideas, but you are looking at disruptive and transformative ideas. Although you may think that these words are sounding, too lofty, but that is our intention. That is our true intention. And the idea is that eventually we would like to emphasize on high impact, leading to grand challenges which we could be proud of, which could be even aligned with the national missions of India, or science and technology national missions of India, or even make a global footprint. So it should lead to emergence of critical technologies. Your project should lead to critical technologies, so that universally or globally people can see what kind of advances we are making, and we should get outstanding publication. And overall, the overarching objective of SERB Supra would be that we would advance science in a very profound manner, and that is SERB Supra is all about. So again, it is a fantastic program. It is a very high profile program, which is monitored by various top level in the government and also at SERB level, at the department level. And I welcome all of you to look at your sort of the the all the ideas that you have, or even collaborative ideas that you can prepare and apply for Supra project with the best possible intention of getting selected in the Supra, in Supra proposal, as a Supra proposal. Next one is SERB Power. This is again a new program which has been recently launched, and I would like to tell you the Power stands here for promoting opportunities for women in exploratory research. And I'm very happy and proud to share with you that this program, after conceptualization, was launched by our Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, and Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harshvardhanji, on October 29, 2020. The idea behind this is that when we look at the overall funding at the India level and in any discipline across the ministry and also in SERB, you would find that the female participation or the success rate of female researchers in getting research projects is quite low. And what we wanted to do is that we wanted to create a structured effort to enhancing diversity in research. Means the number of female researchers should increase, and we should be empowering them by giving them enough funds so that they can also come shoulder to shoulder with their male counterparts, and we ensure equal access and weighted opportunities to our female scientists or women scientists. So the idea is that we have to create special programs, and we did create special programs with a high focus so that equitable distribution of funding pattern can occur. And as this is the first year, we are hoping for best results. Otherwise, we are open to modifying these schemes so that maximum benefit goes to our female researchers over the period of time. And this particular program, SERB Power, is open to all female researchers in Indian academic institutions and in R&D laboratories. We encourage collaborations, we encourage collaborative efforts. And what we have done is that we have created two verticals basically in SERB Power to provide funding to our female researchers. The first one is the Power Fellowship, and the second one is SERB Power Research Grants. And I'd like to go one by one over these two programs. First with Power Fellowship. So fellowship is going to be, a sort of a nomination-based approach where we are going to identify and reward nomination as well as application, where we are going to identify and reward excellent, really top bracket female researchers in Indian institutions which have degree in any branch of science and engineering. So they should have performed exceedingly well. They should be performing exceedingly well with the help of, which could be judged by the help of high impact papers, the innovation, intellectual properties that would have come out of their projects, and also awards and rewards that have been offered to these female researchers over a period of time by other agencies. The applicant or the nominee should be an Indian citizen who should be between 35 and 55 years of age, of course, working in Indian institutions, while OCI and NRIs who are working in India in Indian institutions are also eligible, subject to their meeting SERB criteria that has already been fixed. So terms and conditions are fixed. You can check with us what is allowed, what is not allowed. There is a web page that you can go to which has all the details of SERB Power, and you can make use of it. Eventually the Power Fellowships, what they accrue a 10 lakh per annum unstructured research grant. Means it's a grant which you can use in a variety of ways based on your requirements, and it would also carry a personal fellowship of 15,000 rupees per month, and we intend to give out 25 awards per year and no more than 75 awards at any point of time over a 3-year period. So this is the first vertical of SERB Power fellowships. And if you look at grants, we have subdivided SERB Power grants into 2 levels. The first, so SERB Power grants are eventually going to be, or essentially are, competitive individual-centric funding for emerging as well as eminent female researchers who can provide us with good ideas that is seeking, or the ideas which seek funding for their execution in any field of science and engineering. We are looking at level 1 funding for 60 lakhs for 3 years for institutions which are known. For example, they could be from IITs, ICERs, IAC, good universities. And there would be a level 2 funding where the competition would be only between female colleagues who are coming from state level universities or colleges, because there is often a criticism that sometimes our researchers who are in lesser endowed institutions, they seek competition or they have to face competition from colleagues who are at better funded institutions where you have more infrastructure so that you can quickly execute your ideas without any problem. So what we have done is that we have created 2 levels, and we would look at a number of mechanisms to identify suitable projects on a competitive basis, which is going to be decided by domain experts. And here I would like to point out that some of you who are writing for SERB projects, some of you are our PAC members. SERB does not make any decision in terms of the quality of the proposal, the technical content, the scientific merit of the proposal is judged by domain experts who we seek, or whose services we seek through our program advisory committees, through expert opinions, through review process, and through special invitations where we can make sure that out of, say, 100 excellent projects submitted within a scheme, which 25 would go ahead and which 75 somehow lack that. So SERB does not make that kind of qualitative decision on the content and on the scientific merit of the proposal. And needless to mention, all of these projects have to be regulated through SERB CRG guidelines. So here is the brochure that you can find on our website. You can read about it. It has all the details. Unfortunately, the last date, for some of you who are hearing, our female colleagues, it is on December 31. So not much time is left, but you can be sure that we will be announcing it again in the next financial cycle. And if you are prepared with your new projects, you are most welcome to sort of apply for SERB Power, both fellowships as well as projects. This is a new scheme, as I had mentioned, under the industry component that we are going to start. It is going to be launched in maybe 2 weeks' time, which is called a SERB Technology Translation Award, or SERB Tetra. So what we are looking at here is that the PIs who are going to apply for this Technology Translation Award must have a patent or a copyright from the various projects that SERB offers. So if you have a SERB project, and if you are able to, in addition to your publications, if you are able to generate a patent, which is so excellent that you need some funding, that you need an ongoing funding to bring it to a level of technology readiness so that it can be transferred to industry, or you can prepare a prototype. What we are saying here is that if you have identified a partner, an incubator, then we will provide you unstructured support to develop a prototype or a product. So this is the first time SERB is not only encouraging good publications, but we are really encouraging that you go for patents. So even after you have published or before you have published, go for a patent. If there is a certain element or certain excitement about reaching the technology readiness level, we are going to support you funds in excess to your research project so that you can develop a prototype and a product and then license it out, spin it off as a startup and whatnot through the help of your incubators or industry partners. We have recently announced a new program advisory committee on exponential technologies, because what we were seeing is that we are at times limited to our own little research areas, and we do not worry about, how to blend these research areas to come up with something so very spectacular. And I take you through this very nice quotation from Ray Kurzweil, who was an American inventor and futurist. What Kurzweil said is that if I take 30 steps linearly, I get to 30. If I take 30 steps exponentially, I get to 1 billion. So this is what we exactly are looking for. We are looking for exponential engagement of your research problems so that we could have projects that can blend additive manufacturing, for example, augmented and virtual reality, digital biology, bioprinting, 3D bioprinting, data science, medtech, robotics, and whole bunch of other areas to create what could be labeled as an exponential thought. So your research idea should be exponential in nature. It should lead to exponential research, and eventually you're going to take it to, sort of some kind of down the pipeline to an exponential enterprise. The end goal of such technologies, what we envisage, is going to be fusion of technologies that exist in various silos. You bring it together to solve a problem of contemporary interest, and having solved that problem, you are now poised to take it to an enterprise. And overarching theme again, or overarching goal here, is that you would get access to exponential technologies. The country would get access to exponential technology that could be then taken to various levels of technology readiness, including the SERB Tech Translation Award. So please look out for this scheme. It's going to be announced, I think, in the new year. And what is important for the eligibility is that you must have had a SERB project and a patent through that SERB project in last three years or 3 financial cycles. We have recently started, working on funds for industrial research engagement, SERB Fire. And what I can tell you is this a very unique, one-of-a-kind government industry research co-funding initiative where we are offering 1:1 research partnership with big industries such as Intel, Applied Material, and General Electrics. We have signed letter of intent with these companies, and we are going to come up with industrially relevant R&D schemes where we will have defined projects that will have definite outcomes, and a fund created between the industry and SERB is going to supply the finance for investigators so that they can go ahead and solve problems of not only contemporary interest but also of industry interest. So please look out. In future we shall be coming out with SERB Fire, and to kickstart the process, we have already had what we call as SERB Conclave, where we have called quite a number of players in semiconductor chip manufacturing, VLSI, AI/ML, etc., so that how best we can position SERB Fire so that our investigators, our academic investigators, can bring out the best and more frugal innovation, if you will, to industry problems of their own interest. And this is going to be an interesting sort of intervention when you think about industry academia interaction. And I hope that our efforts would lead us to the right direction, and more academic partners would take advantage of this scheme and come out with their great ideas which could serve useful or that could usefully serve to our industry counterparts. So finally, just a few slides to tell you that all of these programs are basically attuned towards self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar India, the clarion call that has been given by our Honorable Prime Minister, Make in India, vocal for local. So these all funding sources or the funding mechanisms that comes from the public taxes or our taxpayers' money. Eventually, we have to be future prepared for all kind of sectoral growth, where one can think of technology leadership in SDGs or different focus sectoral or in various focus sectors and its growth. We would we would see science and technology budget surge, because as and when we require money, as and when we get breakthroughs, we can get more money, we can get money through a variety of sources to germinate our fundamental ideas, take it to applied level, and then take it to a startup level. And eventually, what we would also create is skill-enabled workforce. So our workforce will be skill-enabled, and all these deep technologies are eventually going to bring us parity, and we will bring science to the last standing person of our society, so that everybody gets benefited as a society with the help of science. So the scientific temper gets moderated, or it is enhanced. We get parity in our processes, and the benefits of research reaches to each and every Indian, and we get aligned to our science and technology national missions. So finally, I welcome all of you to partner with SERB so that we can conduct the best strategic research for the future, which would be of transformative nature. We are going to align much of what we do with national missions and with the help of industry participation. And I gave you a couple of examples of Imprint and FIRE, where we are going to scale up, we are going to escalate this interaction so that we will be able to sort of take advantage of our academic prowess, the talent pool which are in academic institution, and take it to industry and to industrial problems. Our S&T engagement would be built around our existing strength. We would be communicating with stakeholders to come up with new programs, so that not only we fund the right science, but we keep on the lookout. We look out for newer areas which deserve our attention for S&T engagement with societal obligation. That is extremely important. And we would also have co-funding opportunities for deployable translation. We are also partnering with certain foreign funding bodies like Deutsche Forschungsgemeinschaft, the German Research Foundation, to create co-funding opportunities. And within India, we are trying to create collaborative centers where you can do excellent work. We can bring in the infrastructure required for cutting edge research in these specialized centers in focus research areas through our intensification in research in high priority area program, the IRFA program. And finally, of course, while you are supporting all these activities, essentially what you're doing is strengthening the science and technology infrastructure for cutting edge research, and you would create essentially on the way certain centers which are of contemporary interest. So with these words, I think I request and I urge all conference participants to visit the website of SERB, see which programs are of your interest, see which fellowships, awards are of your interest, and please connect with us. Please register on our website and do participate in the calls that come very often, and make use of the funding that is offered by Science and Engineering Research Board. And with these words, I thank you all for your attention this afternoon, and I'd be very happy to answer any question you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Verma, for your kind address. I think it's a great address, and certainly we can see that you have given a new vision and a new energy to SERB and its programs. It's very much reflected in the stress on industry interaction of the academia and conception of new programs such as FIRE. So it's really commendable. We have few questions from the audience, and I will read them one by one. So the first question that has been asked is that SERB provides research grant to the tune of 30 lakhs for starting the research for new faculty members. Apart from this, is there any other support available from SERB for creating new and advanced research facilities for newly joined faculty members of different institutions?
So that's a good question from someone who is just starting career. So basically, we have the startup research grant for faculty who have just joined or scientists who have just joined. The idea is that when you join an institution, you are committed some support from your institution to build up your laboratory. And with this 2 year of very focused, unstructured funding of 30 lakh rupees, we make you, we settle you down so that you can buy the bare necessities to start your research. And as soon as you are done, if you are having only say 4 to 6 months left in your SRG, you can then go ahead and apply for our bigger research grants such as co-research grant, or you can even collaborate with your senior colleagues, or have a mutual collaboration for SERB Supra, for example. So all schemes are open, but what is the caveat is that you have to have only one scheme running at a time, because we want to spread out the funds to as many people as possible. But as a co-PI, there is no restriction to being co-PI in larger grants, in larger funding instruments. So my encouragement to you is, while you are having your startup research grant, you use it well, you build up your laboratory, and keep an eye through your colleagues in your department, in your institution, where you could be a collaborator as a co-principal investigator and get more funding through our other program and through our other funding instruments. Back to you, Professor Agrawal.
Thank you. So there is another question from Professor Yogesh Sharma from IIT BHU. He is asking, are these schemes open throughout the year?
We have a timetable that gets published every February. Since I have come here, we have tried to make a timetable, and we give you plenty of time to prepare your ideas, prepare your proposal. But unfortunately, at this moment, because of the volumes that we handle as an institution, we encourage only one submission, and that time is well publicized. So there is one submission for each funding instrument every year, and it is advertised on our website.
Okay, thank you. There is another question. It says, with the government focusing more on foreign direct investment and privatization, while researchers from eminent institutions focus more on publications-oriented fundamental research. So what is the strategic way forward?
Well, I would say that in last few years, our Indian investigators, Indian principal investigators have realized the benefit of not only publishing in high impact journals, but they have also realized the value of intellectual property rights. So they are publishing, they are getting intellectual property rights in strategic areas, in areas where there is a clear scope of translation. So I think it is clear to all of us when we look at proposals which are funded, that we do have a good scatter of projects which are at times publication oriented, at times more fundamental in nature, but there are projects and our schemes, for example, exponential technologies, for example, imprint and fire, which are going to enable our Indian investigators to work in strategic areas while maintaining that they do publish well. Because, I think you will appreciate the fact that whoever is working in our group, all these students, they also require papers for their postdoctoral fellowships, for their application in other institutions once they are done with their doctoral work or postdoctoral work in our laboratory. So the call of the day is to just gently balance your high impact publications with strategic research, where you can do sort of impactful research that has the potential for translation. Professor Agrawal.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Verma. There's one question that is related to collaborative research between established researchers and young faculty members. So the question is there any program from SERB to conduct collaborative research work involving faculties from several institutions? This type of program will certainly help the young faculty members to continue their research just after joining.
Well, thank you for your question. Perhaps it's not a common knowledge, but there are several, I would say hundreds of SERB projects which have a co-PI, which have several co-PIs from multiple institutions. So we do not restrict the co-PIs or coming together of collaborative research clusters. You can form your own group. It could be between 2 institutions, 3 or 4 institutions, whereby you can, bring in the talent, bring in the the complementary expertise that will ensure that you would go ahead and solve a problem of very high degree of interest. So to answer your question, every program, including the core research grant, not the startup research grant. Startup research grant is individual centric, but all other programs have the element of collaboration, have the element of having co-PIs from multiple institutions. Professor Agrawal.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Verma. There's one question regarding the funding to the private institutions. So there is an assertion that private institutions are not getting enough funding support to carry research-related activities.
I would like to sort of answer it in a different way. It's not, we do not distinguish. Let me be as clear as possible through this forum. SERB does not distinguish between private and government institutions. The whole merit that you find is the novelty of ideas, how well the potential PI is going to able to tackle the problem that has been described, and your track record. If these 3 or 4 bullets are ticked well, if your idea is fresh, then I do not see a reason why a program advisory committee, where again, as I emphasize, SERB doesn't come into picture. Your own peers, your own domain experts have to be convinced, and please be assured that we do not distinguish between institutions based on whether they are they're from government or private. We have quite a number of private institutions who are getting money from SERB.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, I have been a part of several committees of SERB, and this kind of distinction was never made.
Yes, we don't raise this question. Yeah.
So this last question is that most of the project funds are for people who are having permanent positions. Very few funds for temporary ad hoc position scientists like women scientists are funded. Can you please let us know any other funding opportunities for people who are working on temporary positions?
See, this is a good question, good sort of a good point that has been made through this question. But let me tell you, whoever is asking this question, that when you disburse public money that has come from taxpayers, which has come from government, every individual, whoever gets money, is responsible for spending, responsible for generating the utilization statement of expenditure, which is a very required instrument, required documentation once you get things audited or once you get the financial approval. So for these reasons, not only in India, but all around the world, the public funding is limited to people who permanently work in an institution. But having said this, one could always have a support as co-PI, as long as the institution is able, or wherever you are working, that institution is able to certify that we also will have an investigator who is going to be responsible for financials. I think we are very happy with the fact that ideas can come from colleagues who are working not on a permanent but on a fixed term appointment, say 5 years or so. But that has to come also from the institution, that the financial regularity is going to be maintained when when public fund is to be distributed. But for example, if you take postdoctoral fellowship, right? Postdoctoral fellowship which ensues, or Ramanujan fellowship, where people would come from abroad, we give them say 7 lakh rupees consumables and a fellowship. They are not permanently employed, but the institution tells us that if this fellow is going to work for us, we take responsibility of financials, we take responsibility of generating utilization certificates and statement of expenditure. So most of the fellowships are of that kind. So I urge you to look around, to talk to your institution so that you can find a way out, and we'll be very happy to look at your project, which could be submitted in consultation or in collaboration with other investigators who hold permanent positions. Professor Agrawal.
Thank you, Professor Verma. It was really a very informative session, and I think we can clearly see that SERB is really going forward with very various programs which will have definitely a very, very positive impact going forward on the science and technology ecosystem of the country under your leadership. So on behalf of the International Society for Energy, Environment and Sustainability, and also on the behalf of the organizers of this conference, I would really like to thank you heartily from my heart, actually, to spare so much of time in spite of your busy schedule and talk to our young people and also the attendees of this conference, and give the perspective of the kind of bouquet of programs and funding opportunities which SERB is offering. So I really thank you very much for your kind consideration and time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Agarwal, for this opportunity, and I wish that the conference has much success despite being online, and everybody gets a chance to discuss. This is a very important topic of sustainability that you are discussing in this meeting. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.